Welcome to the Ring General Boxing Podcast with myself, George Zaka, here in Perth, Western Australia. We're joined by Rick Staley over in the Philippines. The Ring General, the man who trained Manny Pacquiao to his first WBC championship. Okay, Rick, how you been?
Good. How about you, George?
Yeah, busy, mate. Usual Christmas stuff. Okay, well, we had the Clash of the Dunes, December 7th in Diriyah, Saudi Arabia. Uh, on the undercard was heavyweights Alexander Povetkin fighting Michael Hunter in a 12-round bout that resulted in a split decision draw. The judges had it 114, 114, 115, 113 Povetkin, and 115, 113 Hunter. Povetkin's record moves to 35 wins, 24 KOs, 2 losses and a draw. And Hunter's record moves to 18 wins, 12 KOs, 1 loss and a draw. Well, Rick, I know you did pretty well on this one, but I found the first round pretty exciting, and I got a little bit bored for the rest of the fight. What did you think?
Well, it was an evenly fought contest. I know the in-house score I think had the Vickin winning by a couple of points, but I thought when that fight ended, it was going to be very close. I wouldn't be surprised if it was a draw, which it was. Uh, yeah, Michael moves a lot. When Michael was successful, he was throwing a lot of jabs to the head and the body. He kind of controlled things then. But when they started mixing it up a little bit, Slovakian, he had his moments. So yeah, it wasn't the most entertaining fight, but I mean, Sasha is what 40. He's up around 40 years old, or maybe a little bit older now. And Michael's still moving up the ladder, and so he's always going to give him a little bit of respect because he does have some power. But it was one of those situations where the young guy was supposed to take the mantle, and it really didn't happen the way it should. And now they're talking about possibly a rematch. Uh,
Okay.
uh, I kind of say maybe if I'm Michael, move on and try a different style, a different guy, and see if I can keep going up the ladder. But yeah, I wasn't. I was waiting for the main event. Those heavyweight fights before. It was one of those situations where I was really anticipating the main event.
I got you, and I know uh, you bet the draw on that one. Was
Yeah,
that just a hedge, or is that the only bet you put on that fight?
I watched. I watched Michael in his last fight, and I went back and watched the Usyk fight, and what he showed in the Usyk fight was he basically, he's a tough kid that survived. I mean, a lot of referees would have stopped that fight in the last round, and he hung in there. But he definitely lost the fight, and uh, I didn't think he was $1.50 here in the Philippines, and I just felt like that fight should have been maybe $1.91 each, where these guys should have been really a 50-50 fight.
Yeah.
And I didn't even really bother. I think I had one bet on Michael, and the rest I just said, you know what, this may end up in a draw, and I ended up betting the draw, and it worked out really well. I was watching this sports bar, and I actually got more money on the draw just before the fight started with a bookie that I hadn't used until that weekend.
Yeah.
He wasn't too happy after the fight because I had a good feeling. I was telling the people I was sitting with, I said, 114 is my favorite number. Came out at 115, and as soon as the third one was 114, I stood up and said, "Yeah, this is a nice result for me." But yeah, that's what kind of made it exciting for me
Yeah.
because I was born the fight, and I gave Sasha the early rounds, and then Michael came on at the end, and I was trying to urge him on to win the last two rounds, and I said, I think I've got a good chance for a draw, so it happened that way.
Yeah.
But as far as boxing entertainment, for me, I mean, there were some people out there that thought it was very entertaining. Uh, I didn't, I didn't think it was the greatest fight ever, but there was definitely some excitement for me.
Yep. Yep. And on that same card, is my microphone all right with you, Rick?
Yeah.
Yep. On the same card, we had Dillian White beating Marius Wack by unanimous decision. The judges were 97-93, 97-93, and 98-93. All in favour of the body snatcher. White's record improved to 27 wins, 18 KOs, and loss. And Wack's record moves to 35 wins, 19 KOs, and 6 losses. It was interesting. White came in a little bit heavy. He looked like he'd been hanging out at the same pizzeria that Andy Ruiz was in for the last 6 months. Yeah, what do you think about this one, Rick?
Well, with Dillian, I mean, obviously he didn't train hard. I mean, he may have trained hard, but he didn't do the right thing as far as being disciplined about it. It was one of those situations where he was probably picking up some Christmas money. It was a little bit entertaining because you knew he wasn't in great shape. Watt was there for him. I mean, he kept working and he kept coming, and at the end, I kind of said I wouldn't be surprised if White, gets dropped late in this fight, like done in the past. But I said I think he still wins, but it's obvious he wasn't in great shape. When I came into the bar, I think it was into the 5th round already, and he was sitting on the stool, and I'm like, man, he looks like he's having a fight here. And then he got up off the stool, and I saw his body, and I said, oh, well, he's not in great shape, obviously. But that's what happens when you don't put in the hard yard, and the guy, you don't get the guy out of there, and he comes to fight, which happened. And he had some moments where the guy was pressing him and causing him a little bit of problems. So it's one of those situations where I'm sure he tells Eddie, look, give me somebody real, and I'll be in real condition, and you'll see the top Dillian White. Obviously, that wasn't the top Dillian White.
Yeah, what was the story with him? He failed a drug test after the Oscar Rivas fight, but it sounds like he may have been cleared or something along those lines.
He may have been what?
Cleared.
Well, yeah, I don't remember what the suspension was, but actually, I think if I remember correctly, they knew he failed before the fight, and they let him fight. Am I correct on that?
I know that happened when Fury fought Klitschko, but I'm not sure about this one.
Yeah, well, I mean, at the end of the day, if they have some sort of rule where they let him do that, I don't know if that's really right, because now people are liable. If he can fail a drug test and something bad happens to that other guy, I mean, if it goes to the United States, you're going to see lots of lawsuits.
Yeah.
I'm sure you'd see it in the UK also. But, it was one of those things where he popped, and now I guess the suspension's over, and he's back to fighting again. He needs to get serious about what he does in between the fights. The problem with these heavyweights is they can, they're not fighting a lot. When you're doing 2 or 3 fights a year, it's the old days these guys were getting at least 4. The champion fighting 4 times a year. Now 2 times a year for some of these guys, and they gain all that weight in between some of them, and then it's hard to get it off. And they don't have to get it off. They don't have to say, okay, I need to get back to 154 pounds because that's where we're fighting, or 160, like everybody else that has a weight class where they have to come in at a certain weight or under. So they can, they can balloon up, and like we saw in the main event, and say, okay, well, I'm going to be a little heavier this fight than I was for the last. So, but he just needs to get a little bit more disciplined. He needs to stay in the gym to do something, play basketball, do something to keep that weight off, and not, hit every buffet that's going. They'll gain a little bit of weight during this time of the year, but it's one of those situations where you definitely have to show a little bit more discipline in the fight.
Yeah. Yeah, definitely. And Rick, the main event of that night was for the WBA, WBO, IBF, and IBO heavyweight championship belts. with Anthony Joshua winning a well-fought unanimous decision against Andy the Destroyer Ruiz. The judges' scorecards 118 to 110, 119 to 109, and 118 to 110. All for Joshua. AJ's record improves to 23 wins, 21 KOs, and a loss. And Ruiz's record moves to 33 wins, 22 KOs, and 2 losses. What did you think about that one, Rick?
Weigh-in happened, and it was in the evening here, and I couldn't get to the bookie fast enough. I mean, when Andy weighed in at 283 pounds, I said, you were right, George. The last podcast, you said, look, it looks like he's definitely, these photos have been photoshopped. And I made a statement where, look, I'm going to wait until the weigh-in before I bet this fight because I want to see what Andy comes in at. And he was 15 pounds heavier. A lot of people, I was getting messages out of England saying that he duped the weigh-in. He added weight. If you look at what he did, he had a black tank top on. He had a pair of sweatpants. They weren't the baggy types. They were the kind of, skin tight ones. And the hat. Well, I guess you could put some weight into that hat. But if you looked at it, the actual when he weighed in, I've got, I don't know if you can see these 2-pound dumbbells right here.
Yeah.
Take up a little space. This is 4 pounds. He was pounds over. What behind the weight? Okay, you get a couple of pounds and a half. But there was none. There was none of that. He was hiding the weight behind the shirt that he and I heard Eddie Hearn say something after the it might have been after the fight or after the weigh-in. He said, "Hey, are you going to take your shirt off?" And he said, "No." He goes, "I just ate." And I guess when he weighed in, Eddie said, "What did you do? Eat your trainer?" I thought that was an absolute classic.
Yeah.
But, no, he went out there, and I mean, it was obvious. He did not. I guess for 3 months he just went around and bought a house, he bought a car, he bought some jewelry, and he ate a lot of food. And then when he went into camp, they probably had an idea where they wanted him to be weight-wise. And then those pictures that showed up 5 weeks before the fight saying he was looking great, I was a little suspect. I said, is he really in the gym doing the hard yard? Is it? Probably not. Human nature says he's not doing that. So these are probably photoshopped. And obviously they were. He came in heavy, and it's I tell you, carrying that extra weight. People were worried about him, when he came out. They said, well, if he does come in 10 pounds lighter, it may not be a good thing. It may weaken him. If he does the right thing over 4 months, it's just going to make him a better fighter.
Yeah.
Where I thought maybe do in the first Joshua fight, if he's 10 pounds lighter and he's fitter, he's a better version of Andy Ruiz. That wasn't the best version ever. If you kidnapped him and put him in some training camp for 6 months and you made him do certain things and he came out 6 months later at 235 pounds and said, okay, I'm ready to fight anybody on the planet, that would be the best Andy Ruiz.
Yeah.
He could actually lose plenty of weight and be a much better fighter, but he has never showed the discipline. And that, a lot of it, I tell people that work out in the gym, I said, listen, whatever you're doing in the gym, it's a small percentage. You need to be careful what you do at the dinner table. You need to be careful what you do in between meals. Because that's about 80 or 90% of it right there.
Yeah.
And obviously, Andy doesn't care too much about that factor. And it made, he definitely paid the price for that.
Yeah.
So, what did you think of the actual fight? I was pretty impressed with AJ's ability to stay on his bike for 12 rounds, even though you did say the pressure coming at him wasn't that great. But yeah, what did you think of the actual fight?
Well, when I was talking to people, I was telling people this is the perfect storm for AJ. I mean, first of all, I kept saying in the lead up to the fight, his upside is much greater than Andy. If Andy comes in there a fighting fit 258, he weighed 268 for the first one. If he did the right thing and he was better and he was more fit, put in the time in the training camp, his upside wasn't going to be much more than what he got out of the first fight. I truly believe that there was some factors on why AJ didn't perform the way he did, whether people ever admit to it or not. You know, as far as the mental meltdown rumor in the locker room, I think he had some issues there, and obviously he didn't fight very well in the fight, and you knew that he was going to come in much better this fight, and he did. I mean, he lost the weight, that extra weight that he carries that he probably doesn't need. And all of a sudden he drops 10 pounds and 15. It was the perfect storm for AJ. And they came up with a great game plan. I heard people on the social media saying, oh, he was afraid of him. It was a lousy fight. All he did was move. Well, when you have a bad night like he did the first fight, yeah, you want to win every fight and you want to look spectacular in doing so. But let's get the win. Let's check that win box first and then worry about style points later. But I thought he fought a magnificent fight. Like we discussed earlier, I thought he would slow down a bit, and he really didn't. But one of the factors was he really wasn't pressing him. He wasn't cutting the ring off with cut-off punches to the body. He wasn't double and triple jabbing to close that distance and then fire his combination. And like he said afterwards, he goes, he felt sluggish. He said, my arms didn't feel right, my legs didn't feel right. Well, yeah, that extra 15 pounds doesn't help.
Yeah. And I think I had the fight pretty much 11 rounds to 1 for AJ. The one round that I gave to Ruiz, he landed some hard shots on AJ, but yeah, AJ didn't react quite the same way he did last time.
Well, you know, if you watch the way AJ gets hit, he looks like he gets rattled pretty easily. I mean, the few moments that Andy had in that fight where he got in close and a few combinations, you can see where AJ looks a little bit rattled. I mean, Andy walked into a couple of bombs where AJ stopped for a second or a split second and went through like a late in the fight. He threw a beautiful left hook that landed clean. And you could see Andy where he was like, okay, that was a big shot. And it actually stopped him in his tracks for about 2 or 3 seconds. But then he said, look, I'm losing. And he started walking him down again. Andy's got a hell of a chin. I mean, and he's a fighter. He's got that fighter mentality. But I tell you, AJ fought the perfect fight. And I heard people complaining about him holding. If you're in the boxing mode, if you're actually going out there and you're fighting a stalker that's going to walk you down, you're going to get a little bit tired. It's a lot harder moving laterally and moving away than it is walking somebody down. It takes up more energy. Therefore, I mean, you're going to hold a little bit, and it was the right game plan. And it's one of those deals where, yes, it's against the rules, but everybody gets away with it.
Yeah.
I thought he fought the perfect fight. And that score is a good, I mean, 11 to 1, that's a pretty good score.
Did you bet just the win outright, or did you bet a decision?
I bet no, there's no prop bets here, so I had to bet the win, and I was surprised that the line didn't move that much. He got up to it. He started out at $1.40 here in the Philippines, and everybody was betting Andy up until the fight, and then AJ actually went out to $1.40, which I thought was a very good price, especially after the weigh-in. The nice thing was that weigh-in was at night, and those odds were never going to change. If you look back at the Evander Holyfield Buster Douglas fight, the weigh-in when Douglas came in, I think Douglas was 231 against Tyson, and then he weighed 246 against Holyfield. People were literally running out of the weigh-in room and trying running to the casino to bet on Holyfield. Well,
Yeah.
that's going to happen here because it was late at night. I actually contacted Chris Daly and asked him where he was, and I met him at a sports bar, and I told him, by the way, Andy's 15 pounds heavier, and it was a bookie that ran the sports bar, and I immediately got a bet with him. It was only $1.40, and I knew when I went down to the official bookie, it was $1.44 because I looked it up before I left. But I knew I didn't have to be in a hurry because by then it was late at night, and people to bet it officially at that bookie would have to physically go to one of their outlets, and most people are sleeping at that time.
Yeah.
But yeah, and I did a few parlays. I'll be getting payouts in May when the NBA basketball season's over.
Yep. I gotcha. And so Pulev, that's going to be next Friday. The rumors are.
Yeah, that's an easy one for AJ. I had a feeling the way Eddie was talking, he had the 2 mandatories set up, and I said, well, he's probably going to try to, work it out where he doesn't lose any belts, but I think he might get stripped of the WBO belt, and he ends up fighting somebody for the vacant title possibly. But I don't know if that's going to happen or not. But it probably looks like the route will be who has the next fight, and then I wouldn't be surprised if he fights Usyk after that.
Oh, okay. Interesting.
If they do that, the problem with being the unified title holder is now you've got to deal with 3 or 4 organizations where they sit down and they say, okay, we have a mandatory. Well, our mandatory take precedence, and it's very difficult, especially when they're only doing a couple of fights a year.
Yeah.
Guys sit down and they try to work things out, and they say, wait a minute, you know what, this isn't working out. Tell you what, we'll strip them. We'll let 2 other guys fight for the title. These guys will, whoever wins will defend 2, maybe 3 times a year. And they'll do it once a year against our mandatory. So it makes things a little bit difficult because you got to remember these boxing organizations, they're in competition with each other. They don't like to really deal. They don't like to work with each other because it's all about them first. They don't care about their competitors. They want them to fail. So I wouldn't be surprised if that's the route where he ends up fighting Usyk next, and I wouldn't be surprised if Usyk actually gets the fight for a vacant title, wins that title, and that makes it a little bit more appealing if Joshua wins his next fight and then he fights Usyk, who is also a champion, and he's fighting to get that strap back that was vacated. And that's a nice little promotional aspect of that fight.
Yeah. Very nice. Shall we move on till December 14th, Rick?
Yeah.
Okay, well, it was at Madison Square Gardens, New York. The first bout we're going to chat about was Michael Conlan avenges his 2016 Olympic loss against Vladimir Nikitin, beating Nikitin by unanimous decision in 10 rounds. Conlan's record improves to 13 wins, 7 KOs, no losses. Nikitin's record is 3 wins, no KOs, and a loss. Rick, I actually tried to find the Olympic fight before I watched this one just to see because I hadn't actually seen it. All I was able to find was highlights, but Conlan looked like he pretty much won every round, and the judges gave every round to Nikitin, and famously give the judges the middle finger after the fight. What do you think about all this?
I remember watching that fight live in the Olympics, and Michael came out and fought really well the first round. But what they do is amateur boxing's been for a long time. They can figure out what the scores were into the round, and obviously, if I remember correctly, he didn't do well in the first round on with the judges. So he ended up changing his style, and he fought a different style. He fought a different fight, and he ended up losing the decision. And obviously, I remember when he left the arena, he was not a happy camp. I thought he won the fight. I think there was a lot of people thought he won the fight. But that's amateur boxing. I mean, I went to the '88 Olympics in Seoul and watched Roy Jones just punch holes in a Korean boxer named Park, I believe his name was. And I knew it took a long time to render the decision. And there was a couple things done at that table where they were talking about it that I knew that Roy got big before they actually announced it. A Korean guy was looking at the scores, ran away, was jumping up and down, was happy. But I mean, it's got a history of bad decisions in the Olympics, and there's problems with that boxing. But I thought Michael, I hadn't seen a couple of fights. I've seen a few of his fights because, Top Rank is building him up. But I thought he looked really, really good. What surprised me, he came out and fought as a southpaw for about the first 7 rounds. And I'm pretty sure he's not a southpaw. If I remember correctly, Orthodox fighter.
Yeah.
But he reminded me of Ronnie O'Sullivan. I actually mentioned that. I said, Michael's doing the Ronnie O'Sullivan, and the guys that I was sitting with were talking about. Well, Ronnie will go to a table, and instead of using the bridge, he'll actually just shoot left-handed. And then the next thing you know, shoot the next one left-handed, the next one left-handed. And then he just runs the table left-handed.
Yeah.
With either hand. Well, Michael boxed really well as a southpaw. Probably gave his opponent a little bit of problems fighting the southpaw. Probably wasn't expecting that he was going to come out as a southpaw. And then when it slowed down a little bit, you could see where he switched to orthodox because his left hook is probably much stronger than his right hook. So he stood his ground, and it turned out to be those last couple of rounds were a little bit more entertaining because they stood toe to toe a lot more than the first 6 or 7 rounds. But I thought his performance was really good. He fought very, very well.
Mm-hmm. Very nice. And on the same card, we had Teofimo Lopez knocking out Richard Comey in the second round of their IBF championship belt. Lopez improves 15 wins, 12 KOs and no losses, and Comey moves to 29 wins, 26 KOs and 3 losses. That was pretty entertaining 2 rounds. Rick, what did you think?
I think you were happy after the result.
I forgot it was on, mate. I was working. Your message was the first one I seen, and I realized I was going to have $1,100 in my betting account.
Yeah. I actually thought it was going to be a much more close fight. I thought Lopez would win the fight.
Yeah.
But Richard, I tell you, Richard's a very good champion. And if you watch the first round, it was pretty close. He was very disciplined with his jab, trying to set up those. He's got a nice right hand, and he was trying to set up those power shots. But we talked about before that fight when you said he placed that bet. I said I don't see it ending early, but the way Richard fights, Richard comes in there to knock you out. And when you do things like that, you're going to be open for a shot. And Lopez has got some serious power. His timing is excellent, I said there's a chance that he could get caught and he could get blown out of there early, which happened. But if you watch what Richard did in that round, he came in the second round and he actually, instead of throwing a jab to set up that right hand, he threw a lead right hand. And the problem with throwing these lead right hands against top guys, it's coming from that back shoulder. These guys with good eyes, and Lopez has good eyes. A guy that walks in there and fights with his left hand down as an orthodox fighter, he's saying, okay, you want to try to hit me with your right hand? Good luck. He's got eyes. He's got great reaction. He saw it coming, and he countered him, and the next thing you know, he was down, and that was the beginning of the end. But fabulous result for Lopez. And yeah, I mean, I'm really looking forward to possibly his next fight against Lomachenko. I think he has a lot more problems with Lomachenko than he did against Comey, but he did what he was supposed to do. He went in there, he won the fight, he won his first world title, and he did it in spectacular fashion. Bobby, very happy right
And yeah, so what are the chances you will get Lopez Lomachenko this year? You think he might have one more fight before that?
I know if I was managing him, I would want to do that. This is one where you marinate it a little bit if you're the Lopez people. You don't jump right into it. If it's me, I try to get him more defenses. You got to remember, Lomachenko is what? He's 32. He's not a spring chicken. So, you get him a couple more defenses, get him a little bit better, and then you fight him a year from now instead of 5 months from now. That's what I would do if I was the management team. That fight's not going to go away. You don't have to worry about Lomachenko losing and ruining a mega fight. That's not going to happen. So I would just try to improve Lopez as a fighter, and it gives you a better chance. I think if he fights him next, I still have to favor Lomachenko. I think Lomachenko is going to beat him. But if he fights him a year from now, a year and a half from now, I mean, Lopez, expect him to be much better. And is Lomachenko going to improve any at this point of his career?
Yeah.
So you've got a better chance if you fight him down the road. But, these guys he's very, very confident. And he's talking about Lopez or Lomachenko for a long time. I think Lopez is going to want to take him next. We'll see how it works out. Bob Arum is talking like it's next. So we'll see. But if it's me,
I'd like to see it soon. I'd like to see it soon. Yeah, I'm hoping it's the next fight. I don't want to marinate it.
That fight is a good boxing decision. If you're the Lopez people, you might want to wait a little bit.
Yeah.
I mean, I'm happy to see it next. I'm definitely happy to see it next.
Okay, and the main event of the evening, we had Terence Bud Crawford beating Egis Kavaliauskas by TKO in the ninth round of their welterweight WBO championship bout. Crawford improves 36 wins, 27 KOs and no losses. Kavaliauskas moves to 21 wins, 17 KOs and 1 loss. This Kavaliauskas, I've never heard of him before the fight, and I actually give him the first 3 rounds, and I thought he was doing damn well in there, but Crawford sort of started stepping it up from the 4th round onwards, I thought. What did you think?
Well, I tell you, I was a little bit surprised that Bud had the problems he did with this guy. And definitely early. What was the 3rd round where he fell? Probably a knockdown.
Yeah.
Probably, it's one of those delayed ones where, he hit him hard, he leaned in, it looked like he was trying to hold, and then there was a few punches thrown over his head, and the next thing you know, he went down. Probably a knockdown. I think what that did, I think it embarrassed Crawford a little bit, and at the same time, it pissed him off a little bit.
Yeah.
Then he started finding his range. One of those rounds he came out there, and he just kept peppering him with his jab. He's another guy that's an orthodox fighter. And he fights an awful lot from the southpaw statement, and it's going to give most guys more problems just because you're fighting the southpaw. And he is very good at fighting either way. But he switches, like his trainer said. They went into the corner, I think, during the 5th or 6th round, and he said, "Look," he goes, "Bud will change when he feels like he'll switch over to orthodox when he feels like he wants to. I'm not going to give him any instructions to say to do so." But you can see him; he started damping it up a little bit. And it also shows the dog in this guy. This guy is not only technically really sound, a very, very good boxer, but he's got some junkyard dog in him. And he definitely showed it in this fight. And you can see once he started getting on top of him, he just wouldn't let up. And it was just a matter of time before he was going to knock him out. He was not going to let him see the end of that fight. And I don't think that he was really hurt when he was dropping him at the end, but he was just swarming him. And it was one of those situations. The last knockdown, when the referee actually stopped the fight, the guy wasn't on Clear Street. He wasn't seeing birds flying over his head in circles. He just, it was one of those situations where Bud just stayed on him, stayed busy, threw some hard punches that are fast coming in, and he just kept dropping them, and it just got to the point where the referee said he's enough.
Yeah. Okay, Rick. Where to for Crawford now? So, what's the deal with Spence? Is he all recovered from his car crash, or no one knows?
I read something, or I saw something about Spence actually did a Twitter post, and it was something against Tim Bradley. I guess Tim Bradley said something, and Spence wasn't too happy with it, and back with a Twitter post. That's what I read recently. But as far as his medical condition, again, I mean, nothing's coming out about it. And I know a lot of people are complaining about it, and I've said this in the past. Yeah, the guy he's a top athlete, but he's got a medical problem. And for me, I don't think that these people, when they have injuries or illnesses, I don't think that they have, whether you're a Hollywood star or you're a top athlete or whatever you are, I don't think that they're obligated to tell the public, hey, this is what's going on, this is where I'm at, and give them a daily or a weekly or a monthly update on their medical condition. I mean, at the end of the day, if anything ever happens to any of us, it's a private matter. And yes, they are athletes and they're in the public eye, and their fans want to know. But when he's ready to come out and say something about his medical condition, I'm okay with that. And I know a lot of people are complaining and saying, look, we should, we have a right to know, and he should be telling us. And of course, they're saying, well, now that he isn't saying anything, the rumors when he first got injured, they said everything was minor. He broke a few teeth. He had some lacerations in his face. But then all of a sudden, nothing was said. And, oh, wait a minute. This guy is really, really hurt to the point where maybe he'll never box again. Only time is going to tell. So as long as he's not saying anything publicly, we've got no idea where Spence stands physically and mentally. So we're just going to have to wait for him to come out eventually and say, hey, this is where I stand. I'm okay now. I'm back in the gym. I'm ready to. I'll be able to fight in whatever 3, 4, 5, 6 months. Just have to wait for Spence.
Yeah. Okay, Rick. So in February 22nd, we got Wilder versus Fury. I've just bought up the betting odds here. At the moment, they got $2.10 for Wilder, $1.70 for Fury. You got any thoughts on? You're gonna wait to see a bit more from him?
Yeah, I mean, Tyson's around doing the circuit. He's doing a little wrestling, but he'll get in the gym and he'll train hard, watch a bit of training. I actually think the bookies are right. I think that if I'm running a book, I would I'd make Tyson Fury slight favorite, which he is. And I tell you, Deontay, he averaged 26 punches around against a 40-year-old guy in his last fight. 2 judges had him losing all but 1 round. And he said, oh, that was the game plan. I mean, if I'm in the corner, I'm putting the charge up his butt. I'm going to say, hey, listen, make this 40-year-old fight.
Yeah.
40 years old, you want him to go out there and you want to put him through a tough fight. So if it does go into the later rounds, he's not going to have a lot left. But he just sat there and methodically fought at Ortiz's pace. And I think if Tyson Fury can actually control the middle of the ring against him and fight the way he normally fights, where he's boxing, he switches to southpaw. If I'm Fury, I'm practicing a lot of southpaw because I think Wilder, if you fight him as a southpaw, you're going to see a lot of hand fighting, like you see with UFC fighting, where you got an They're doing a lot of hand fighting, and that's what you want because you don't want to be getting hit with the bombs. And yeah, people can say, well, if you're a southpaw, you're susceptible to his big right hand more so than to the left hand. Well, or not to the left hand, but to if you're fighting in an orthodox stance. Just keep that foot on the outside and just keep moving. Just follow your butt, and you'll stay away from that right hand. But I tell you, Deontay really needs to get back to. I mean, he talked about this before. Getting back to basics, and he needs to do that because the way he talks, everything is about that power. And like he says, you know what? You have to be fully concentrated for 12 rounds. And he goes, all I need is a couple of seconds. And that's exactly what happened in his last fight. But he was down by several points on those scorecards. And eventually, it's going to catch up with him, where he's going to hear that bell at the end of the 12th round, and he's going to hear some bad scores. And he's going to lose a fight. And this one may be the one. I definitely like those odds. I think they're fair odds because it's almost one of those situations where maybe Wilder needs to knock him out to win, or knock him down more than 2 times in separate rounds to win that fight.
Yeah. And Rick, I don't know too much about the UFC, but I know you were a wrestler back in high school and you like to watch it. So, Khabib versus Ferguson. I actually watched a bit of Khabib. I've only really seen highlight reels of Ferguson. He seems like a pretty fun guy. What do you think about that fight?
Tony is one of my favorite fighters. I love the guy.
Mm-hmm.
He's got a great wrestling background. Good with his hands. His cardio is unbelievable. He's one of those special athletes where everybody's packing their bags and they're in the gym, and he's still in there doing more. Khabib is something very special as a wrestler.
Mm-hmm.
He doesn't lose rounds. I think he lost 1 round in the UFC. I think Conor McGregor won, I think, the 3rd round of their fight. But he's got a style where if he keeps you down, you are in trouble because he's not going to let you up. And it'll be interesting to see if he does get Tony down because Tony's a great scrambler. I mean, they get in these situations where it looks like he's going to be down, and the next thing you know, he gets away. So I'm really looking forward to it. I think both fighters have won 12 straight in the UFC. Actually, Khabib is undefeated with over 20 wins, but I think 12 of them have come in the UFC. So 13 would be unlucky for somebody. I got to favor Khabib on that one, just because of that style. And actually, he's improved his striking skills. But I'm really looking forward to that fight. I think it's going to be really entertaining. And I can't wait. These guys are both very, very high level, and it should get a great fight.
And one more I just want to chat about. Conor McGregor versus Donald Cerrone. Conor's paying $1.44. Cerrone's paying $2.87. What do you think about that one, Rick?
I think as far as a business aspect with the UFC, obviously they want Conor to come back. He is the big name in that that organization. So you want him back in the octagon. You want him fighting 3 times a year would be nice. I mean, if they could get that out of him. He's fought very little as an MMA fighter in the last, 3 years?
Yeah.
Khabib and Floyd Mayweather in the last couple of years. And Mayweather was a boxing match. So he hasn't had much octagon time.
Mm-hmm.
I've always liked Cowboy Cerrone. He comes to the fights. He brings it. I just think that it's a little bit he's on the back 9, and I think the UFC, obviously, they probably want Conor to win the fight because Cowboy, he's on his way out. Eventually, he's going to be in the organization. But I think it's a good matchup for Conor. These guys that are talking about, he should be going in there and he should be fighting this guy and this guy, these top guys. that scenario for many, many months, like Connor. So
Yeah.
a boxer, okay, what happened? Well, the guy retired, and now he's thinking about a comeback, and he was a great fighter. So what are we gonna do? Well, we'll put him in against the best. Most times that doesn't happen. So
Mm-hmm.
they get him on some sort of tune-up, and we'll put him in with a big fight. So I think a lot of people might be looking at this as a possible tune-up for McGregor. I think it's going to be. I'm trying to think. I don't know the actual weight class yet, but if it's beyond 155, I think that helps Cowboy a little bit. But at the end of the day, I think it's going to be a good fight. I think these guys, they bring it. Both of them bring it. I'm going to have to favor Connor in this. I think the UFC wants Connor to win. I think they're giving the right opponent where he can win, and then move on to bigger and better fights down the road.
Very nice. Have you got any other things going on? Any other goss or news?
No. Trying to think what might come down the pike. No, I'm just. I tell you, what was the fight? No, I'm just. I'm happy to watch a few some really good fights lately. It's been a pretty good Christmas season, and now I'm just looking forward to 2020. See how these guys match up. Like you mentioned, it would be nice to see Loma and Lopez get in there. And I think they're talking about possibly April, which would be nice because that's a very explosive fight. And as long as these guys keep moving toward each other, I mean, at the end of the day, now AJ's the champion, and Wilder still has his belt. If Wilder is successful against Fury, the public has got to see that fight sooner rather than later. I mean, come on. It's, like I said before, we're all getting older. We want to see this in 2020. That would be a nice matchup. But again, with the organization want to keep those belts, there's a certain way you got to do it. So, but if they both, if Wilder wins against Fury, I don't know if we'll see it against Wilder in 2020. I kind of have a feeling it's going to be AJ's second fight will be probably against Usyk.
Interesting.
That's no guinea. I mean, Usyk's a hell of a fighter.
Mm-hmm. Oh, well, Rick, I think that'll wrap us up for today. Thank you, everyone, for listening. Until the next episode, goodbye, everybody.